2-minute business tip number 11, your invoicing structure. So we're not talking about the software that you use for your invoice or anything like that, but we're talking about the structure you use to raise your invoices. So if you're a plumber or a tradesman doing multiple call outs in a day, you'll have a different structure than someone that's doing a job that lasts a week. And then if you're doing a job that lasts a week, you'll have a different structure than someone who does jobs that last 2 months or even more. But you need to have a structure. And most tradesmen are guilty of doing the invoices when they get a minute. Right, and what happens there is when you do the invoice when you get a minute, if you don't get a minute, you don't get the invoice done, and if you don't get the invoice done, you don't get paid on time, and then you notice that the bank is running low and you panic and you say, I better go and do those invoices. Let's have a structure. I remember one client I was working with and he was like, I can't get my head around the paperwork, it's stressing me out. He was a carpenter, he was doing roofs on a building site. We've come up with a plan that worked for him. We agreed a day and a time that was most suitable for him to pretty much sit in his van and stare at his men that were doing the work on the roofs so that he could do the invoicing. And I think it was Wednesday afternoon was the plan. So he basically pulled the van up, had it parked in front of where the guys were working. So he's looking at them because he was afraid that if he wasn't there, they'd start swinging the lead. So while he's looking at the lads, he's doing his invoicing, and it took 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe it took 3 hours the first time around because he had a bit of a backlog. But then we booked him in to do it at the same time every week, and then it was only a formality you could do while having a tea or a coffee in the van, wherever it was, and he got on top of it. And what happens is the ripple effect of you doing your invoicing on time is that you get paid on time. Now, if you've got some obscure or crazy arrangement with the clients that you're dealing with, I see it many, many times that you only invoice them at a certain point in time. That's fine, but raising the invoice on your invoicing system and sending the invoice to the client are two different things. You should always raise the invoice and on regular intervals. Don't wait until Don't wait until you firm up details with the client as to when to raise the invoice or anything like that. The reason being, it will get put on the long finger, and then some cases, if they're small invoices, you might forget about it. So don't let that happen. Do them on the regular, but send them then whenever you want. At least they're visible in your app or whatever you're using for your invoicing. They're there all the time and they won't get forgotten about.